My best relationships in business have been a direct result of obedience and investing in myself to get in the right rooms. Hands down. For the last 10 years, every relationship that's moved the needle most in my life has been a direct result of me making an investment in myself and not knowing that God was going to bless me on the other side of that investment in ways that I never thought that he would bless me on the other side of that investment. And so late December of 2022, a lot of things had happened. I had lost my Instagram earlier that year, which was the predominant source for all of our income generation for 3 years at that point, or 4 years. I had to start over from zero. I got very frustrated. I thought that God wanted me to stop coaching, obviously, because you just shut down my main source of marketing outside of paid traffic. And it wasn't that. He didn't want me to stop doing it. He wanted me to stop doing it the way I was doing it. And so I ended up finding this 5-day challenge, or it found me, however you want to look at it. And it was, the interesting thing about it is that 2 days before the challenge was supposed to start, my father-in-law passed. And as one could imagine, right? Like, spouse, neither one of us had lost a parent. Most would just say, oh, yeah, I just can't go to the challenge. My wife, through her grace, God's grace, she was like, no, I think you should go, right? And so I would get up and do my thing with her and get her over to her mom's house, because we were in Detroit, obviously, at the time. And I would go back to the hotel room and attend the challenge. That challenge forever changed everything for me. Because up to that point, while we had made millions of dollars, we were still doing one-on-one coaching. So I didn't have the time freedom that I really desired, but it was still better than punching the clock. And it certainly gave me a lot more purpose. But doing one-on-one coaching, you can kind of pigeonhole yourself if you set your business up that way. And so went through this challenge, learned how to do more one-to-many coaching, how it actually serves your clients better, because now it's this melting pot where everybody can hear from one another, and so they evolve and advance even faster. And also I learned how to do challenges through this challenge. And so I signed up for this mastermind, and that's where I met David. So he was intricate, being that his marketing team knew how to deploy these challenges. And so I hired him essentially to revamp my business so that I could deploy the new model. And then after a couple of years of success, 2 Comma Club awards and whatnot, we decided to now partner up to serve the kingdom in the way that we're doing now.
That's awesome. I think there's a lot of things that can be taken away from that story that I've seen as patterns in the lives of people that follow God and their purpose. And it seemed like one of those things that you mentioned was the adversity that you guys experienced as a family with the loss of your father-in-law there. And first and foremost, my condolences. But secondly, I'd like to highlight that a lot of people, it seems like it always gets darkest just before the dawn, and it's
Mm.
like kind of the pattern that I've seen that has let you know you're moving in the right direction, because there's
Mm.
some kind of if there's some kind of God, there might be some kind of opposing force. And in that respect, a lot of times when you feel that extreme adversity, it's because you're right about to have that breakthrough with God stuff, which is a pretty crazy concept. So have you noticed any other points in time in your entrepreneurial journey where a similar thing in that capacity has happened before?
You know, a couple years ago, I became aware through one of my mentors that disruption always follows intention. Disruption always follows intention. So even when you look in the Bible, when Jesus was baptized, the next verse says, and he was sent to the wilderness to be tempted by the enemy. So disruption always follows intention. And so now, to your point about patterns, I get excited at the worst moments if I know I'm being intentional about something on the other side of that, right? Because it, it's in the text for a reason, as a reminder that we should anticipate, to your point, that there is an opposing force who's prowling around that wants to devour us, right? So if we're being intentional about operating in our gifts and our purpose as God intended, then we should know that there's somebody out there that don't like that. And so when you get the flat tire on the way to the thing, doesn't mean turn around and go home. It means get some air in that tire and probably keep going as fast as you possibly can. And I think I'm so glad you parked there for a moment, John, because so many people really do look at that momentary adversity as a sign that, and you know this, right, as well as I do. You go to pay for a course and maybe it exceeds whatever the bank would allow, and you think because the bank stopped your card that was an indication that you shouldn't pay for the thing. It's like, no, that's an indication you need to call your bank so that you can get this transaction to go through to finally change your life. And so if you can change your perspective, you could change your situation. Most people have the wrong perspective, which is why their situation just doesn't change for them.
Yeah, amen to that. I think you said it perfectly there. Like, I'm not even going to try to rephrase it because that was, dude, well done. I love that. If you want to save time on watching all the episodes, but still get all the gold nuggets that we find from interviewing these 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs, then you can get all of that inside of the 2 Comma Club newsletter. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com and subscribe.